What makes addiction treatable is its predictability. And addiction often follows a cycle. It follows a course of action that if you step back and look at what's going on, you can see where a person is at in regards to their using cycle. Hi, my name's Carey Davidson. I'm an interventionist. Not like that kind of guy you see on TV. I'm actually have a master's in addiction studies and counseling. I'm also a person in my own long-term recovery. So I tell you that just to let you know I'm book smart and street smart when it comes to being an addict. Oftentimes, the first thing that happens is some sort of emotional distress. For example, someone's at work, and let's say they had a bad day. They got reprimanded by their supervisor. The project they were working on fell apart. They're driving home, and they're thinking about how they feel, how bad the day was. Well, what starts happening is a person starts thinking, I don't feel good. How can I relieve this uncomfortable feeling? So that it starts shifting from, hey, I had a bad day at the office, I got reprimanded by my boss, to how can I get out of this thought process and get into a situation in my own personal thinking space, my head, on relieving that chronic thought. So that leads to the cycle step of ritual. What did I do when I felt uncomfortable before? How did I relieve the thoughts, the feelings that are associated with them that don't feel good? Well, the ritual starts driving by a liquor store. Let's use that for an example. So they're not feeling good. They're thinking about, how can I get out of this? And they're driving by the liquor store and something flashes in their head. Hey, everyone's heard this. I've had a bad day. I'm going to go home and have a drink. That clicks in their head. Next thing they know, they're pulling into the liquor store. It's not about getting drunk. It's about finding relief. After the ritual of thinking about how they can relieve their emotional pain, their bad feelings, it's followed by using. So they've gone by the liquor store, they've picked up their bottle, they're probably not intending to get incredibly drunk, they're just trying to find that relief from the obsessive thoughts that are spinning in their head. It can be a bad day at work, it could also be, I'm not a good human being, I'm not worthwhile. Whatever that uncomfortable thought process is, they're going to try and relieve it chemically. The relief is the using of the chemicals. The challenge is that relief is temporary. It does not last. That's why people repeat the cycle of addiction, because that temporary relief, during that time, oftentimes they're very intoxicated, creating more carnage in their life. After they use their substance, oftentimes the person sobers up and they feel guilt and shame. Guilt about what they did and shame about who they are as a person. Well, what that does with the cycle of addiction is it creates more emotional distress once again. Just like the emotional distress of having a bad day at the office, they become distressed over what they did under the influence, which causes the rumination in their head of how do I get out of this uncomfortable feeling? And now it's not a bad day at the office, but it's I'm not a good person. And they go and find that temporary relief one more time, and it just flat out is not sustainable. A big part of treatment of anybody with an addiction is coming to terms with why a person uses. And oftentimes, the underlying issue is discomfort, mental anguish, an obsession with relieving that which is uncomfortable. Treatment is about identifying new ways and new methods to deal with uncomfortable feelings. It's about exposing those feelings in a safe and supportive environment so that a person can learn new coping skills with life, so a person can sit with their discomfort in a safe place, process through it, and not have to go through the cycle again. Recovery is about breaking the cycle of addiction. The reason I do what I do is because when my family and people that cared about me wanted to help, they couldn't find someone like me, someone that knew the inside of the inner workings of the mind of an addict, someone who knew how to get through this thick skull and into my heart, because that's where it really is. Family's connected in here. And if we can reach someone's heart, we can help them. The addiction is in control of a person's mind and their thinking, but their heart is the connection to the people that care. So the whole goal is reaching that heart, pulling them in a new and different direction through new and different actions of people that care. At the end of the day, everybody has choice. And my job as an intervention is to help a family motivate a person who's been making bad choices, unhealthy choices, into changing that into making a healthy choice so that they can come back together and be a family that is authentic again. There are 3 C's that we learned through Al-Anon, a support group for people that care about someone else that's struggling with an addiction. The 3 C's are: number 1, you did not cause that person's addiction. The second C is you are not the cure for that person's addiction. And the third C is that you cannot control that person's addiction and what they do in order to get their substances or under the influence. So remember, you didn't cause it, you can't cure it, and you can't control it. But I like to add a 4th C. What are you doing to contribute to a person getting healthy or staying sick and getting sicker in their disease of addiction? That 4th C is, what are you going to contribute to? Health or demise? You do have a choice.